This is Eat, Sleep, Invest, the marketing podcast for real estate investors to get more deals. Hey, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Eat, Sleep, and Invest. I'm your host, Brian Driscoll, and I got a good friend of mine, Eric Helbock, on here today. Hey, what's going on, Eric?
Hey, good morning, guys, or good afternoon. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Hey, so a little background. I met Eric at a mastermind meetup group a couple of months ago, and I was talking with him. And well, first, Eric, give us some background on you.
First, I want to thank you. I appreciate you. I really had a good time hanging out with you and learning a lot about you.
Right back at you.
So I'm a New York State teacher. I've been teaching for 17 years, and I started investing about 10 years ago. Yeah, that's me so far.
All right. So, and you're really humble on that too. So Eric's a full-time teacher, right?
Yep.
What do you teach? Is that shop?
Yeah, so I'm art certified, and about 10 years ago, I probably got New York State technology certified, which is old school wood shop, baby. Yeah.
All right. So you're saying you just dabble, we'll do quotes, in real estate, right?
Yeah, this is my hobby.
Right. So how many deals did you do this year?
I bought a little over 30 units for my own portfolio. We did 2 flips, a wholesale, maybe 2 wholesales. One was around January, and I think we did about 6 or 8 wholesales.
All right, cool. So to confirm here, you're saying you worked 40 hours or a normal work week plus did all that stuff on the side?
Yeah, we mostly do full rehabs too. Our flips are full rehabs. Our rentals, we buy under market distressed properties and we bring them up to market. So units are usually pretty screwed up.
All right. Yeah. So, because I know a lot of guys that are just trying to get to 30, 40 deals in a year in units, doing it as full time. So what would you say to people? It's like, okay, I don't have enough time, or I don't know how you juggling all that.
So I have 2 kids too, and this is where it gets crazy. My 7-year-old does jujitsu and soccer. My daughter, she does dance. So I wake up real early. I want to say I wake up between 4 and 4:30. I get material ready. I drop it off on the job. Sometimes I pick up guys. Right now, we can't get many licensed contractors. We manage our own properties as well as we do full rehabs ourselves in-house. So sometimes I'm picking up guys in the morning or just going there, looking at the job, assessing what has to be done so we could contact the appropriate subcontractor, whether it's roof, siding, windows, interior flooring, carpets, plumbing, electric, the whole bit.
Yeah. So you're pretty much a jug. Now you're pretty big into tech too, right? Like you keep us all organized and in Google Calendar, things like that, or how you keep?
You fucking with me, Brian.
Yeah.
I'm the most computer illiterate person you'll ever meet. My lawyer is very patient. My title people are very patient. Everyone laughs at me, and I don't know really how to use computers very well. Everything is done usually with handshakes, whether it's my contractors or my lawyers or whatever.
So how are you running at that level then, though? How do you keep track of everything to be so efficient? There's only 24 hours in a day, and you got to sleep sometime.
Typical ADHD kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Everything sits up here. I think I didn't miss your podcast, but I was getting my insurance guy started a podcast, and I missed his podcast. So I think about a week ago, I learned about that Google Calendar stuff.
That's cool. Yeah, because that's a high level. Because I know a lot of guys, it's hard to do things efficiently. Like a lot of people are busy, but with you working and then doing all that kind of stuff, that's a lot to keep track.
Yeah, we just finished a flip about a week ago. I'm waiting for one piece to put on the market. It'll go on maybe the first week in January. Right now, we're turning over 3 units. Now, here's the crazy thing. All 3 of these were bought this year. We bought a 10-unit building, a couple of triplexes, and a couple of duplexes, right? And each of them, the market rents when we bought it were like $1,000, $1,050, somewhere around there. And the one is $1,500 on the low end, right? We're going to list either $1,500, $1,550. The other one is $1,750, and the last one is $1,650. 2 of them we already have rented. They're about to move in any day now, and we just have to finish some details. And the $1,500 one, we still have about another week left of work. So I laugh because we're buying these things distressed. We're buying these things under market. It still makes sense at $1,000 rent, but current rents are insane right now.
Yeah.
So it's been good. But I apologize if I don't answer the question.
No, you're good.
So how are we doing it? I don't know. When we wake up early, we self-manage. We self-manage our units. I hired one of my students from a couple of years ago. So I teach 7th grade. One of my students, I also run a Facebook page on real estate, which is hilarious because I'm the most computer illiterate person there is. So I noticed in my local market, kid's name. I reached out to him. I said, hey, by any chance, did you go to, I teach in Newburgh schools. He said, yeah. I said, let me buy you a cup of coffee. And he ends up, he's 19 years old and he has his first duplex and he became an agent. A couple weeks later, we're on like unit 25 or something of closing for the year. And we already had a couple other rentals. So I said to one of my business partners, hey, dude, man, I think we either need to go to property management or maybe we need to hire a first employee. So we looked at property management and we started filling out all the paperwork. We were doing really good on it. And I got some of the details. I'm like, yeah, let me call this dude. Hey, man, I got a question for you. How long is your basic turnover? And he's like, a couple months if you're doing a rehab. If you're just putting a person in, anywhere from 1 to 2 months. I was like, what? I said, all right. He goes, why? I said, I try to get people in there within 3 to 5 days of it becoming available. And he goes, well, what do you mean? I said, if I'm just throwing down luxury vinyl and paint, 3 to 5 days. He goes, well, how the hell do you find them that soon? Well, I started showing him once I get noticed, And I started thinking, this ain't going to be for me. I'm paying this dude a month. It's going to be a couple of months. This cuts into profit a lot. So I said to Juan, my one business partner, I said, hey, Juan, dude, man, I think we should hire somebody. So we were going to hire like a stay-at-home mom. And then I thought about that kid, Mike, and I was like, hey, Mike, let me give you a call real quick. He's like, all right. So I text him, we talk, and I say, you ever think about, just doing this a little more full time? He's like, I guess he was managing a quick check. And he said, it's funny, I just gave 2-week notice. I want to, be a little more active in the real estate world. And he's an agent, but he's brand new. He's a kid, he's 19 years old. So I said, hey, you want to help us out? You like help or whatever? He said, sure. I said, what do you want for an hour? He's like, that's 15. I'm like, all right, good. We'll pay you 20. And that was probably around 6 months ago. He's been amazing. He's been a lot of help. He says he's learning a lot. We just did an end of the year review type deal. Asked him, like, how can we help grow your business, blah, blah, blah. He seemed really happy. We're ecstatic with him, and it's been very, very helpful.
That's huge too, because it's especially hard to find the right person. You know what I mean? And with property management too, you're right. Property management companies aren't turning properties around in 5 days.
Oh yeah.
It's
right
not
now,
their
the
property.
The 3 we're doing, we did a little bit more than we usually do. This time we're about a week to 2 weeks in each one.
Yeah.
And the 2-week ones, hopefully, I think January 1st is the move-in date for the 2 people. So we'll be about 2.5 weeks. We're putting all new luxury vinyl, new lighting, new outlets, painted the whole place, fixed some major issues that we thought were major, just stupid things like entrance, egress, things like that, things that could be a safety concern, things that we bought the place like. The other place, we're about a week in. We had the floors sanded, stained, polished, new tile in the bathroom. We're going to paint the tubs. We normally change the tub, but we don't really want to get a permit.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, all right, we'll just paint it.
Hey, so Eric, a different question for you. So when we met, guys, I'm talking to Eric and he's talking to me about how he pitches deals. So normally we go out and we ask, hey, how much you looking for? And we negotiate and come to a price. Eric has a different approach on how he gives an offer. So Eric, fill me in when you're giving an offer, when you're talking with somebody that you're trying to work something out, like what's your process like?
First, I just talk to him. We talk a little bit about real estate, but I try to first kind of get to know them a little bit.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard because people are naturally defensive. And when they tell me something like, say they need 300,000 and I know I'll never pay 300,000. I kind of say, hey, look, I might not be your guy. Actually, I know I'm not your guy. I can't pay that much. I just paid like $230 for the exact same property. So, maybe I can help you out. I know a couple of agents. I know a couple of this. And when I take a step back, usually they become a little bit, well, I'm not interested anymore. So let me help you. Now they kind of tend to tell me the truth. What's going on, the fact that they're 3 months behind on their taxes or this or that. So one of the biggest things that I find is getting them to actually talk the truth. because when you ask what's wrong with the property, what does it need, this, that, the other thing, you regular questions. They're not always very forthcoming, but when they think that you're not interested and you're here just to help, now all of a sudden I'm like that friend. They get very, very honest. So back to my offers. So say we get to a point where now I think I could work with this person. I walked to an 18-unit boarding house with 5 studio apartments, maybe Sunday. We're going to the Bronx Zoo, going to see the big light show at 2:00. I'm going an hour upstate. So I think I got there at like 9 in the morning. So we go and we walk this place. We're talking. It needs some work, but the numbers are phenomenal. But she basically wants way too much money. So I say, hey, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to back out of this. I appreciate your time. If you want, I could give you a hand with, it looks like you need a new roof. You need this, you need that. You need to evict a couple of these tenants. I said, let me help you out. I know some people. We'll put you in touch with. And all of a sudden she starts telling me everything else and why she's selling. And she's been in and out of the hospital. So we start talking about other things. We start talking about her mom who just passed. We talk about her brother. And long story short, she starts telling me, I don't really need, I think it was say $1 million or something, right? I don't really need $1 million, but I could probably do it for 800 and still be pretty good. Dude, having a half an hour conversation in the ice cold weather and just knock $200,000 off the number, that works for me all day. So to go to your offer, that the thing that me and you talked about that was very successful multiple times for me is I usually make 3 offers. I make them a cash offer. I make you hold the note offer, and also take a standard mortgage offer. I don't remember if I did very similar. I did 3 offers, but instead of her hold the note, I'll pay off her note and then she'll hold the rest. I think she owed $300,000 left on that place. So I offered to pay off the $300,000 and then pay her monthly for 100 months. But a lot of it is just, so there's this guy, he comes to the meetups. He's a really nice guy. I run local meetups. He's like a martial artist for his whole life. Badass dude. I said, he teaches it too. I said, so when you teach martial arts, you probably have very specific steps, right? And he said, yeah. I said, but when you fight, do you follow all those steps? He's like, no. I said, you kind of flow, right? That's kind of like me with people. When I'm telling brand new people, I'm not going to tell them to, kind of go on the whim or go on the fly and just change up. But a lot of times I'm doing that. I'm just kind of flowing with whatever they say. Well, if that doesn't work, how about this? Well, all right. Well, so your issue is capital gains. Well, have you ever thought about if we tie this over 5 years, if I pay you over 5 years or 8 years, your capital gain is going to be a lot less. What are you currently bringing in a month? And we start talking about the different tax brackets. And, I kind of just go wherever they need to be. Yeah. But the 3 offers has been extremely successful for me.
Yeah. So you're saying pretty much find out how you can help them, what their issues are, and keep talking and try to get them to open up and to confirm. Okay. So say I'm selling a house. We'll say $100,000, even number. Mm-hmm. Give me your offers for an example of the 3 offers. How would that work? I want $100,000 for this place.
All right. So you want $100,000. I only buy if it's under market. A lot of times it has to be distressed or something wrong, right? For it to make sense for both of us. And to make sense for both of us is really important to me. I got to sleep at night. I also have a reputation to keep. So maybe you have people that aren't paying in the units. Maybe you have a roof that needs to be done or a heating system. Now, I used a lot of subcontractors. Plumbing and electric, I still haven't found subcontractors, but everything else. So I say, all right, guys, look, when you go to get that roof done, it's going to cost you $12,000. When I go to get it done, it's going to cost me $8,000. So I'm going to save a little money on that end. But at the same time, this is still a business and it's got to make sense. So you want $100,000 for this. To me, it's worth $100,000 if you go on MLS. Why aren't you going on MLS? And they're like, what? I said, you're going to do better on MLS. Just put it on MLS. And I push people like, dude, you don't need to sell it to me. Go sell it on MLS. And probably 1 out of 3 people do, Yeah. And I'll try to recommend an agent. And that agent either usually pats my pocket, sends me a thank you, or like a referral fee or something like that. Or they'll send me off-market deals. I believe in taking care of people that take care of me. And vice versa, or sometimes they'll just say, well, Eric, I just don't want people in my house, or I just got to get rid of it now. And I try to find out why. Like, what's so important that you got to sell this place right now for $100,000 that you won't put it on MLS? And usually whenever that pain point is, we try to figure out a solution to it. We're buying a 4-family right now in Kingston, New York, which is, I'm in the Hudson Valley. So I don't know, it's a little bit further upstate. It's, it's not far upstate. It's still the Hudson Valley. Maybe an hour for me, 45 minutes. When we get to talking, he doesn't want inspectors in there. I'm like, all right, I already inspected the place. I've never hired a professional inspector my whole life. So I'm like, all right, you don't want inspectors. Let me ask you why, And he starts telling me about like the PECs he did, and he doesn't want any bullshit. He doesn't want to have to change anything. He didn't pull a permit for that. I look at his FOIL file. He got permits for the heating system. He got the permits for all the main shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's worried about fucking PEX pipes. All right, cool. Yeah, all right. So I'm like, what about appraisers? He goes, I don't mind the appraisers. He's like, I just want this to get done. So I said, all right, I'm going to make you some offers. That one, I think I did offer with a mortgage. I offered cash and him holding the note. He came to the point where he was open to holding the note and he was open to cash, but he didn't want a mortgage because he wanted to definitely sell. He's moving to Florida in a couple of days and he didn't want to wait till springtime. And I'm like, all right, so that's your big concern about the mortgage? Yeah. I'm moving to Florida. And he's not moving. He's got a house there. He's going for the winter. I was like, I could get it closed while you're in Florida. He's like, what? Like simple shit. Like you never know what's going on in their head. And you find out that was his big concern is he wants to close while he's in Florida, or he wants to close now, or he doesn't want to wait till spring. I'm like, dude, I'll send a mobile closer, or I'll send, you go to the local bank. I'll have your lawyer send all your documents and you can have it notarized at the bank. Like to me, it's such silly non-issues, but that was his issue when we got down to it. He's the type of guy that I think I spent talking, I don't know, about 2 hours out of say 3 hours total that we've talked so far.
Yeah.
2 hours was about everything but real estate. And maybe a total of just strictly real estate was about 15 minutes. Everything else is like real estate kind of, but not really. Ins and outs, maybe about a certain tenant or something, but most of it's just talking to him, getting to know him. He's a guy I'll probably keep in touch with. He's a guy I'll probably borrow money from eventually. And we've done that quite a bit of times where we buy a home and we keep a relationship. Either we buy a second home from that person if they have other properties, or we borrow money from the people that we borrow homes. It's weird. I'm not a one and done. I try to build relationships with people. Build friendships with people. If it's a win-win and everyone wins, nobody loses,
Nobody would ever think to ask anything. Like, how would you find out without talking to him he really just wants to close and he doesn't want to goof up his trip and he wants to be down in Florida?
He's telling me about other things in his life. He's telling me about his Florida house. He's telling me about this. It ends up, he was like the guy he was an engineer. He designed roads for the Ulster County. And he designs how many different roads you need and the areas of egress, some type of civic engineer, maybe.
Yeah.
And I said something about teaching technology, and that's to me, I couldn't even imagine trying to orchestrate all that. Next thing you know, we're talking about managing properties. So we'll go into like a very quick snippet about properties. Then we go back to that, and he tells me that he's a woodworker. So I bust out some really cool, like spalted maple pictures of things I've done in woodworking. And next thing you know, he's showing me turning bowls that he's turned. For the next hour, he's showing me pictures of bowls and he's telling me about it. And you could see him glow and you could see the passion. I might or might not buy his place, right? But at the end of the day, I'm enjoying my time I'm spending with this dude. But when we do talk, he's no longer like, I'm that guy that's trying to rob him on buying a house.
Right.
And I tell him, hey, dude, this is a business. I'm here to make money, but it's got to make sense to both of us. You want this amount and you want it in cash. Well, what if I come up with other solutions? What are your purposes for cash? And it's not me cold calling them. And you ever list anything on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, like a car, and say you want $1,000 and someone offers you $300. They didn't even talk to you. Hey, I see you have a car. Would you take $300? I've been talking to this guy for an hour and a half. We're laughing. We're talking about our kids. Blah blah blah. He's no longer defensive. He's no longer like shut down. We're just two guys talking.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I might or might not be able to do this. I'm not going to commit to it either way. But if I was to do this, what is the purpose? Why do you really want to sell it in a week? You know, I could give you more money if we do it another strategy. And he's like, well, what do you mean by that? And then he tells me, you know, I'm only going to make $90,000. I'm like, how the hell are you only going to make $90,000 if you've owned this for 20 years? Depreciation, recapture, and then capital gains. Once he said capital gains, I was like, well, what if we cut this over 8.5 years, over 100 payments? And I said, I'm just pulling this right out of my ass. So obviously talk to your accountant, do this, do this. I'm not a licensed accountant. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not anything. I just play one on TV, right? So then I go into the bullshit like, hey, what if we did this? Then he goes back to his accountant. His accountant's like, well, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. It makes sense what he's saying, but you still have to pay depreciation. So he's like, well, what if you paid off my loan and did this? Now we're both on the same team.
Right.
So once we're on the same team and we're all going towards the same goal, you know, we could get shit done. You know, I don't know. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes 100% sense. So break it down. So give me what offers would you make for a situation like say that guy or say me that I want $100,000 for a house and I want top dollar, and then the other situations you told me you're like, okay, we can do this or this too, and then it's my choice.
All right, so I'll go to this year. Me and Juan, we bought property. We did a mailer, and we go to wholesale this property. So I go and look at it for the first time. I know the area pretty well. It's a cottage. In my head, it's worth maybe 129, 130. I used the 100,000 number that you used, right? Talked to the guy. He was Mr. Oil or some shit like that. Mr. Heat. So he ran a heating business for years, so he understands business. So we're looking around. I see the heating system is right next to the walls in a closet, makeshift closet. You usually need about 2 feet per code on each side. So I asked him about that. I point out a couple other things that I noticed right away. And I asked him what he's looking to get. And he's like, well, I had an agent here the other day, and she's saying I could get 130. I said, yeah, I probably agree with you. You know, you put $5,000, $6,000 into this place. Maybe you reshift that wall a little bit so you can get the proper airflow inside that closet for the heating system. I bet you can get 130, you know? He's like, Eric, I don't want to put another dime in it. I said, dude, put $5,000 in. It's not going to hurt you.
Yeah.
He's getting out of it. I don't want to put another dollar into this place. I just want to sell it as is. All right. He said, so you're not going to make an offer? I'm like, well, let's just walk around. So we're walking, we're talking. It ends up he lived in that home for a little while. He lives a couple doors down. Then his mom lived there. His mom passed recently. And he had a tenant. He got him out. You know, the whole bullshit. We're going through this for a while. I said, listen, I'm going to make you an offer before I leave here. I made an offer of 82 cash, 89 or 90 with the mortgage, and say 92 or 93, him holding the note. I literally wrote it right in his driveway. We have like standard bullshit letter, nothing fancy. And Brian, you know me well enough. We've talked a couple of times that nothing is ADA format or anything is proper. It's like me literally jot notes right on my phone, and then I send it, you know? And he said to me, Eric, I got your offers. I appreciate it. I'm going to run it by my wife. If we go with the cash offer, could you do 85? And I said to him again, the same type of thing. Dude, why don't you just put $5,000 in it, put it on MLS? I ain't doing that, blah, blah, blah. If I go with it, could you do 85? I said, 85 the best you could do? I said, he goes, I could do 80. Done. We'll do it for 84. Shake hands, we buy it. Now, I've had about probably 7 or 8 of these where there's 3 options. They don't even negotiate. They just choose one, which is crazy because, you know, you're not putting your top dollar on there. I had no problem putting 84, right? Me and Juan spent 1 week with the day laborer there where we didn't do much work. I think we put like a few minutes worth of time in there ourselves, literally a few minutes. But the day laborer was there for 1 week. We put $7,000 into the place. We relisted it, and we got 139 in the second day on the market. So
yeah, decent.
Yeah. And we tell these people, like, look, dude, you can really make a lot more money. Just put a couple of bucks in. No. All right. So I feel good because I tell them you're 100% right. Yes, you can get that. You're going to have to do this, this, and this. Most of the time, nobody wants to do it. I don't try to bullshit them. I don't try to tell them, oh, it's not really worth that. Tell them, yeah, you're right. You probably are. It's probably worth that. Yeah, definitely. But for me as a business, I try to follow the 70% rule. Most of the time, I don't verbalize the 70% rule, but sometimes, occasionally, I will. I just explain to them that there's a certain profit margin I need to do to make it make sense, and especially if I'm going to flip it or wholesale it.
Yeah, that's huge too, especially like with the three deal offer too, because it's like they have a choice. It's no longer they're saying he said I want 130 and you come in at 100, and then you guys oh well how about 125 and how about 105? It's like hey, here are three choices. They're all different, but the top choice is giving you almost top dollar whatever you're looking for. But you got to mortgage for me, like you got to hold the note, so you can give him what he wants, or these other options that he might like too. That it gives them the choice versus a combat battle type of negotiation back and forth.
It's been very good to us. We bought our first multifamily that way, probably 4 years ago.
Yeah.
She chose holding the note, and I think we came up with a decent sized down payment, and she held the note for 15 years at 3.5% for the first 7 years, 4.5% for the next 8. She wanted to keep it to a 5-year note, and I kept pushing. Can I just explain to me why? And she kept saying interest rate's going to go up. I'll probably renew to you, but the interest rate's going to go up and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, why don't we just do it on a sliding scale, And my lawyer thought that would be too difficult because I basically said, let's base it on whatever prime is.
Right.
After, say, 7 years, and we'll go up up to 1 to 2% higher. She said, why don't you just say 1% and just stick to that number? She agreed to it. So we went at 3.5 for the first 7 and 4.5 for the next 8.
And those are nice too, because you don't need the bank or anything. It's like handshake, we got an agreement, we're done, we close.
Yep. And we pay her early every month. It was beautiful for us. Her husband was dying. So she got to spend a lot of time with him. We met him multiple times. We met her multiple times. We would go and visit them, show them progress on the project. The last 5 years or so, it got to be the point where they weren't doing the things they need to do to the building.
Yeah.
So a lot of distress. We used the building's money to rehab the place. And then we did a cash out refi after 3 years. And we took all of our money out, plus put $100,000 or so in our pockets. And we still own it. Yeah. I think it's 25-year fixed now. Yeah.
That's cool, man. Yeah. Well, I like what you're doing out there. And yeah, that's some value there. So, let's wrap it up then. Eric, if anyone wants to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you?
You could email me. You could text me. Either one, doesn't matter.
Yeah, cool. What's your email?
All right. So my first name is Eric. So it's ERI. My last name is Helbock, HEL, at yahoo.com. Yes, Yahoo. No Google. No nothing. I'm old school. Phone number is 845-392-5157. All
right, cool. So ERIHEL at yahoo.com.
Yep.
All right, cool, man. Hey, well, thanks for coming on. And then, for everyone out there, go get some.
I appreciate it, dude. Thanks again.
Thanks, man. Talk soon.